coach, relationship and lifestyle consultant. And we're going to be talking about setting smart New Year goals and resolutions. Anita, great to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Helen. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you. You are glowing in 2024.
Oh, thank you.
Does that mean the money has quadrupled?
I think it's more peace and hope.
Peace and hope.
Yes.
Oh, that's where we are at this point. Peace
Yes.
and hope.
Yes.
But it's good to see you.
Yes.
And as I said, when the new year rolls around, a lot of us have that new year vim, if you will. We're suddenly inspired to put things in order and, sort of project into the future. Why do you think the new year comes with so much hope and energy and vigor?
Well, yeah, fantastic. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me. It's New Year, so people would want to orchestrate a fresh start. It's a fresh start of everything, and so it's like, okay, well, I have the opportunity to change some things. I have the opportunity to bring some things on board, and so this is really like clean slate for me to start or stop some things. So yeah, it comes with all the excitement, and of course, there's also anxiety in the midst of all of that. So yeah.
Okay, so as the new year starts and people want to be intentional about the year and they want to set certain goals, what do you recommend as the first step, the first thing to do when the new year rolls around and it's almost like everyone is at the starting point of the race line? It's like ready, set, go, and some people take off, they bolt off full speed, others are in a light jog, others are walking, some crawling, and some barely even take off that starting line. What advice do you give for all of us as we begin to make some resolutions?
Good question. My first would be stop.
Okay.
I know it.
But the gun has gone off. Pause, New Year. Anita,
know.
you say we should pause.
Yes, that's the thing. A lot of people are just, they're going. But you have to stop. One of the reasons why it's important to pause is so that you know where you are at the moment and where you're going. A lot of people will say that, well, I had the shot, so I have to kick off, but they don't even know where they're going. And to know where you're going, you need to know where you're at. So that pause is important. It's a new year, yes, but you need to pause. When you're talking about New Year resolution, it has to do with the fact that you have paused and you're taking inventory of your life, what has happened even in the past year. It's not like you're dwelling on the past or anything like that. You just need to know where I have been, where I'm at now, and where I'm going. So
Right.
once you pause, then you can see things clearly.
So take some time, you say, to actually assess what your needs are. Now, what strategies would you recommend for then setting these realistic goals? Hopefully there'll be realistic goals in the first place. Would you recommend that people write them down? There are different ways that people say, or experts like yourself tell us to structure these goals and ideas and resolutions. What do you recommend?
Well, so after you have paused and you know where you're at and where you're going, and you know who you are, because everybody is different. There are times that you tell somebody to write certain goals down and that's not how they wanted to. Even though it's good to write, when you write, your visions and your goals become clearer. And sometimes when everything is inside of your head, you forget them. So once you write them, it's like some sort of blueprint. It guides you along the way. So I would recommend writing your goals down and then taking them one step at a time. It's a little bites. It's not big steps. Little bites along the way. So you write them and then you decide that, you know what, this is where I'm going, or first of all, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going. What are the things that I need to let go? What are the things that I need to accommodate? What are the things that I need to add on? What are the things that I need to subtract? Yes, once you have all of these things down and then you write them down, it gives you clarity. You see, yes, that's one of the reasons why writing your goals down is important. You put down all of these things and then you can cross out and then tick. And then as you go, you're ticking or you're crossing out like that. Yes. So write them down. And after you have written them down, you need to work on yourself. Because frankly speaking, it is easy to say, I'm going to do this. It is easy to write all of them down. If you're not committed to your goals, whatever that you've written, they will not materialize. Yes, so you need to be committed. That's why for me, personally, I keep telling people that one of the investments to make this year, and indeed any other year, is to build your self-confidence. That's what I've been talking about at my center, the Antanan Center. Build your confidence. Why? Because confidence will give you that resilience. Because whatever goal that you have written down, at some point, you may not be able to achieve all of them.
Okay.
Yes. But when you have the confidence, you have the resilience to forge ahead. When you have the confidence and something happens along the way, because life happens, eventualities happen. Sometimes we have great ideas, but not all of them will come to pass. The confidence will still help you to come out. Come out of that rock bottom or whatever that you're going to hit.
Right.
So build your self-confidence. And self-confidence, like I keep saying, is a sustainable support system.
A sustainable support system.
Yes. There are times that there's nobody there to help you with your goals. There are times that people will not help you. But once you're a confident person, you tell yourself that, you know what, I believe in the clarity of my goals. I'm going all out for it. Oh, there's nobody there for me, but I'm a confident person. That resilience is inside of me. I have built courage. I'm so going to move on. Yes. But in all of these things, I like to tell people, wherever that you think that you want to get to, make sure that it's in tandem with your mental health, your emotional health. It's in tandem with peace of mind, because sometimes we set certain goals based on what it is. It's the fun of it. I also have New Year resolution, or people are expecting me to be this person or be at a particular level, and people are overwhelmed. So whatever that you decide to do, whatever that you decide to commit to, whatever you decide to write down, make sure that it's congruent with your mental health, your emotional health, who you are as a person. Otherwise, you keep going, and I like the word that you used some time back when we had them, you're just going to plow through the year. And who wants that?
Right.
Who wants that? Yeah.
And when we talk about confidence, maybe somebody listening to us this morning will say, well, my confidence was lost in 2023. Maybe I tried to do a number of things. Maybe I attempted to open up a business. I tried to save, but I wasn't as disciplined as I wanted to be. I did X, Y, Z, and that has maybe eroded the confidence that I initially had in myself. What advice do you have for somebody who is looking to rebuild that confidence and feel strong in the year 2024?
Be yourself. That's the first I would say. Being yourself is unquestionably a great confidence booster. You see, every time that you want to be something else, you want to be somebody else, you can't move on. You can't be. You cannot become. So be yourself, and being yourself also encapsulate where you are and where you're going. Where you are, sometimes perhaps you hit rock bottom. That is where you are. You have to come to terms with it. And then now you rouse yourself mentally and decide that, you know what, this is my reality. And so I'm not going to pretend like I'm something else. It's just like people picking Churchill. You know that you don't have the money for Uber, Bolt, Yango, whatever.
Right.
But because you want to create a particular impression, you'd rather not pick Churchill, which is cheaper. I know that Churchill comes with its own whatever.
That's right.
But based on where you are now, you decide that, you know what I can afford is Trotsky. Some people don't even like Churchill. Let's just say Trotsky. See that? One of the things. Churchill not mentioned Kampun and BB. So now we want to call it Trotsky.
Add style to it.
Yeah.
I'm getting in a Trotsky.
You're not there yet. So be that person that you are at the moment while you hope and work towards the person that you truly want to be or you meant to be. Yes, so if you really want to build your confidence, and I say that once you're a confident person, you don't really lose it. You know, something happens and it's a cover up. So that thing needs to come off it. Yes, so when you're in reality, you're not living outside of reality, and you're yourself and you're loving yourself, self-love. People who want to build your self-confidence, people who want to have sustainable self-confidence need to have self-love. Yes, and I'm saying that self-love is basically the synthesis of self-acceptance and then self-care. So you're accepting yourself in totality. That includes your weaknesses and your strengths. And then you're taking care of yourself. Once you're taking care of yourself, it's your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your financial health, your spiritual health. That's a self-love. Self-love is not selfish. It's sanity.
Right.
Yes. So if you want to build your self-confidence, these are some of the modules that you should go through. Once you love yourself, you've accepted yourself, you see that you're coming out gradually, and then improve. Don't just stay there. We say that be yourself, but be the best version of that self. We are saying that love yourself, but love yourself right, in the sense that you're not stuck, you haven't become complacent. You're in your lane, but staying in your lane shouldn't make you complacent. It should make you proficient.
Right.
Yes. So you're building yourself all the time. And anytime that you're trying new things, anytime that you're becoming the better version of yourself, that's your confidence being built over time. It's little by little. Some people say that confidence is believing in yourself. But on a broader scale, confidence is merely trying. Yes, you're trying. Every time that you take a step, that's confidence being built. Every time that you take a step, maybe you tumble down, but you get up again, that's confidence being built. So self-improvement is key if you truly want to build your self-confidence.
What about this saying that we hear quite often, fake it until you make it? Is that something that we can use? Or is it a phrase that's often misunderstood? What does, when you fake it till you make it? Because you say, well, be yourself.
Yes.
But on the one hand, we're hearing, well, if you want to be confident, maybe you need to adopt or pretend like you're already confident.
Pretend, no. It doesn't, it's not sustainable.
Okay.
That's basically, perhaps it would work for a short period of time, but it's not sustainable. How long can you keep pretending? You can't pretend all the time.
That's right.
So perhaps for whatever you have to do, there's an action that you need to take for the sake of agency. You put on that whatever for a while, and then after that you build it. So it will save you perhaps for a moment. But for people who don't really have confidence, faking it can actually what's the word? It can backfire.
Okay.
Because you're not it. You're not it, and now you're faking it, and then it backfires, and that is just going to bruise your self-esteem, everything, squash everything. And that's why it's okay to build. And if you can't do something, it's okay to share that you cannot do it. But inside of you and by yourself, you keep building. So people shouldn't subscribe to that fake it to you. So they're faking it, and they keep faking. So your life is fake. How about building?
Right.
Instead of fake it, how about building? Yes.
Build it until you are at that level
Yes.
that is sustainable.
Exactly.
What about for those who are surrounded by people who seek to bring their confidence down? Maybe you have some friends or some family members who always have a negative word to say about where you are in life or your progress. What advice do you give for people who may be in that circumstance, who want to build confidence for the year?
Yeah. It's a tough situation when you're surrounded by such people, because they're constantly bringing you down. They're constantly crashing your spirit. And you see, that's why we keep talking about self-confidence, because once you become a confident person, you let go of the negativity around you. There are too many naysayers around us. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be your colleagues at work. But a confident person says that, you know what, I'm going to keep going. I know where I'm going. I know the direction of my life. I know my life goal. I'll keep going at it. You need to learn to close your mind to negativity. The truth is, there are times that people who are negative towards you, they're not going anywhere. Yes, if you do not realize this, you always think that you're little. People will spend their time being negative. If truly you have time to be negative towards somebody, then you have a life. People who have a life and they're going somewhere, they don't have the time to be bringing people down. And that is why people need to accept this, that no, if somebody is doing this, they have their own issues. So I'm not supposed to let this overwhelm me.
Right.
Let me keep going. There are times that certain words can crush our spirit. That is true.
That's right.
But you can be crushed, but you pick yourself up and then you keep going. Focus on the goal. Focus on the destination that you're going. And then let these things just peter out. You know, they'll fall off. But when you absorb them, truly, they become seeds. And that's a thing that is going to grow. Before you know, you're a very bitter person, you're very resentful. And then sometimes it just stops you from even moving. So they will come because that is life. There are people who are negative. They are naysayers. They are critics. And honestly, sometimes we can even become our own critics.
That's right. People say I'm my own worst enemy because
Exactly.
a lot of negative self-talk and a negative self-image.
Yes. So you need to we learn these things. Yes, it's not easy. It doesn't come to us easily. It's not a personality trait, even confidence. It's not. These are skills. We learn it as we go. Emotional intelligence and all of that. So you learn, and these are fantastic New Year's resolution against the big. Some people like just flamboyant.
They say this year I'm going to make $1 million.
Yes.
And is it achievable? Is it realistic? I mean, they say I'm going to do it in 6 months. I mean,
that's why they're frustrated.
That's where the frustration comes in. Now, speaking of frustration, the finances, they're a hot topic, especially in the economic times that we find ourselves in, both as a nation and, as a globe. Right. The times are quite tough. In terms of setting goals for the new year, financial goals, what sort of guidance can you give us, Anita, for those who would maybe want to improve upon their financial circumstances? Maybe they're still in the same job, still in the same circumstances, but they want the money to stretch further, to go further. Yeah. What do you recommend?
Live within your means.
It's as simple as that. There's no magic pill or magic wand. We have to live within our financial means.
Yes, and yet when I say, you see, sometimes investment basically means cutting down expenses. Yes, instead of thinking about the big, just cut down. And sometimes by cutting down, it's like you're left with nothing at all. It can be tough, especially in this economy that we're in, but you live within your means. And I'll go back to the point I made earlier, that you know where you are. It's so important to know where you are. So at this moment, this is how much I'm earning, this is what's coming in, and this is what I'm spending daily, monthly, weekly. So once you put all of that down, then you can decide that because how much I'm spending is more than how much I am taking in a month, I need to cut down some things. There are certain activities that I need to cut down. There are certain places that you go that you probably need to stop going. There are a number of times, so it's frequency plus duration. Whatever that you're doing, you look at it, those that are not priority, those that will not necessarily affect you, you cut them down. If there are so many, there are people who have fridges. I mean, you're struggling. You have a fridge, you have a deep freezer, you have other gadgets in your room that is actually pulling down your current every month. You need to assess all of that. What are the things that are causing personal financial loss?
Okay.
Yes, and then you cut that down. Who am I speaking to? Sometimes it's even data.
Okay.
It might sound so simple, but data can take so much money.
I mean, data takes a big chunk for me of my monthly expenses. I spend a lot of that, browsing on all the apps and all of that.
Yes. So people think that it's not a big deal. I'm just perhaps mashing 3 CDs and all that, but you realize that 3 CDs will just go and then do another 3 CDs. Do the math. You realize that within a week you have spent so much on data. So the question is, yes, the internet is very important. If you're a business person, you probably need the socials to do posting, but you have to be intentional. How much time am I spending on my socials? How much time am I spending on data? And yes, sometimes you have to fast. You see, fasting, fast as in you're fasting on the socials, you're fasting on certain things that you probably like. Some people like to buy food outside. No, how about, okay, at this point in time, the money that I'm going to use to buy food, I'm going to actually cook with it.
The kids say there is rice at home. Forget about all the new, and I mean, as for the restaurants, they're springing up every second, and we're being wooed by a lot of the fancy decor and the new dishes. So you say you have to keep your focus.
Yes, because you see, that's why we have to go back to where are you? This is where you are, and that's where you want to get to. And you know that if you're spending your money on the frivolous things, it's going to affect you. So you can't say that, well, it's so nice out there, this new dish that has come in this new restaurant, I also need to try. You can't afford that now. Perhaps in the future. But since you cannot afford it, please fast. It's hard, but you have to try.
It's not the most appetizing advice, I'll admit, but it's what needs to be done, because we talk about things on a macro level as far as the economy is concerned, and these are the same things that we're often telling government to do, to cut down on expenses, to live or spend within our means as a nation. You talk about fasting. Maybe there are some travels that as a nation we can't afford to embark on, some more exciting things that we would have loved to have attended, but because of our finances, we put that to the side because the future, of course, is important. The future will at some point come, and if you don't have money, if you've used all that money on the ride-hailing cabs instead of the Trotsky, you'll have to pay for it in the future. But in your line of work, have you seen a rise in people needing financial direction because of how turbulent the economy has been?
Yes, especially in regard to relationships.
It's still causing major problems in interpersonal and, shall I say, romantic relationships as well. Is that the number one cause of issues and fracas?
No, that wouldn't be the number one, but it's part of it, and that's basically because people are also not living within their means. There's this thing about relationships today: you have to spend, or should I say, waste. Yes. Okay. So their needs and their wants. In fact, let's even talk about getting a partner.
Sure.
Some people, we all have needs, we have desires. But sometimes the thing that we're looking at, the person that you're looking at may have all the qualities, but they're not what you actually need. They may have the qualities of what you want, but if you look at the person, the personality in totality, it's not what you need in your life. Yes. So people are in relationships that are not helping them. They're spending so much money to look a particular way for their boyfriends. The guys are also spending so much money, or rather wasting so much money on the girls because they need to keep them. Yes. So financially, it's not the relationship is not sustainable. It gets to a certain point, people are frustrated. The person who is dishing out the money is frustrated because he's not getting anything out of it. And the one that is on the receiving side doesn't feel fulfilled because it's not enough. Yes, so financially, in all aspects of our lives, relationships, and that could even be interpersonal, not necessarily intimate relationships.
Sure.
We are just spending money anyhow.
Maybe that friend of yours at work, every lunchtime, they want to try somewhere new. Maybe in 2024, you have to tell Kofi or Amma, this year, dear, I'm going to go with you just once a month to somewhere new. The rest of the month, I have to put money aside and just be straight up. I tell people all the time, and sometimes I'll go on social media and I'll see something that I like. I'll engage the seller online. They give me the price, and I'll say it's a lovely item, looks great, but it's simply not within my budget. And I keep it moving. And others say I'm too shy to say that it's not. If it's not in my budget, it's not in my budget. You can't arrest me, and yet by force.
People need to be honest with themselves and then honest with other people. You see, when you have the people pleasing thing, that's when you want to do that, because you want to please people. But pleasing people at the expense of your own finances, your own health, your own sanity, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Yes. So please be bold. There are certain things that you need to cut down. There are certain friends that in natural fact you need to let go. There are people in our circles that cannot come with us in 2024 because they are time wasters. People are spending hours on phone talking about nothing. Yes.
They said it's gist.
And that's fine. At the end of the gist, what are you satisfied? Like, how does that add to any part of your life? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have, casual moments and we have a little laugh here and there, but there are some people constantly. It's not just anymore. It's actually gossip. It's just bad gossip, wasting your time. You can see that the person is not forward thinking. You're just there and you're on the phone. And we talk about finances, and the other aspect of finances is time.
Right.
It's time. Do not waste your time on just anything. Don't waste your time with just anybody. Everything that you're doing, make sure that at the end of the day, it will help you. I'm not saying that be so selfish, just me, you're so self-absorbed. But frankly speaking, if you do not also take yourself into consideration, you'll always be there. Like, I had the garbage dump. Everybody, they dump everything on you. They come to you for everything, and you think that it's so sweet. It's because I'm charismatic. It's because I'm very friendly. No, it's just because you're very available. Yes.
You have a lot of time. Or at least that's the perception that, this person, if you call her or you call him, they have all the time in the world for you. But also, what about parents? So we've gotten a few messages as we're speaking now, in terms of tailoring our taste to suit our current pockets. And so a lot of parents say, well, how do I not give in to my little one? Let's say there's a brand of potato chip that is maybe on the higher end, and that's what the young ones have become used to. But now things have changed a little bit you want to watch the pocket, but the young ones simply don't. They don't want to agree to that. What advice do you give parents as far as tailoring their new pockets to suit the family taste?
I keep saying this. You need to reason with your children. Yes, you need to reason with your children. Parents need to keep telling their children, talking to them about the financial state of the family. I'm not saying that always say that we don't have money, because if children also absorb that, then they're going to live in that kind of mentality. But you need to let them know they can't have everything. There's a time for everything. At some times, parents may be able to afford this and that. You sit your child down and say that, you know what, unfortunately, I'm not able to afford this at this time. When I'm able to make money, or I have enough money in my pocket, in my purse, bank account, I'll be able to buy you this and that. But at the moment, I don't have that. And that's how we also teach and groom our children, so that they're not spoiled. There are some children who just want everything that is in vogue, everything that has come, the new chips, like you're saying, the new bag, the new cartoon animation. So they see an animation and they have to get the same duvet, the same pullover, the same pyjama, with the animation and all of that. You cannot afford it. So let the child know that, no, we can have a substitute. It may not look the same, but at least a substitute. So yes, parents need to be honest with their children. You cannot be giving in to all the demands. And you see, the other thing is that some of the demands of the children are not even healthy.
Okay.
They're not. All these chips and juice, and it's just sugar. So beyond the financial bit, we're also talking about learning to teach your children to take healthy choices. Cook them on fruit. I mean, once in a while, yes, we need to spoil our children.
That's right.
Cook them on the fruit and the vegetables and good
And maybe
meals.
hook them early, because now they've been hooked onto the other things. Weaning them off is becoming problematic. But we'll be joined very soon by Jerome Akuse, and he'll be giving us some insights into investing in 2024. He's a chartered accountant and the editor of citytalk.com. But Anissa, before we get into that conversation with Jerome, as far as the wider picture is concerned, how often should one be reassessing the goals that they have set for the year?
Quite often. And some people, and once again, it's an individual thing. Some people would want to do weekly assessment. Some people would want to do monthly assessments. Sometimes when the period is too short, it can bring frustration. So you give yourself a little space, Some people can also say that every quarter I'm going to assess my plans, my goals. Am I meeting them? Are they becoming attainable? Are they even relevant? Because once you assess, then you know that, what, I thought this was good for me, but it's not relevant to where I'm going. So
that's
drop
right.
it. Yes. So it depends on you. It depends on the goal as well. For some goals, you can actually assess every day. At the end of the day, you're like, okay, I wanted to do this. I've been able to do it. There are other goals that need a little time. So depending on your goal and depending on who you are and where you're going, you can decide that I want this duration or frequency. Yes, but the assessment must definitely come.
It must come, and it must be frequent. Well, time check, it is some 34 minutes past the hour of 8. You're still live here on 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're still speaking with Anita Anand. She's a certified confidence life coach, relationship and lifestyle consultant. We're talking about setting smart New Year goals and resolutions. Also looking at our financials. How do you and I make sure that we are making sensible decisions as far as money is concerned? Now, speaking of sensible decisions and making sure your money goes far, let's engage now with Jerome Akuse, chartered accountant and editor of citytalk.com. Now, his latest article caught my attention. He's discussing 7 things investors in Ghana need to look out for this year. You and I, what do we need to look out for this year as far as investing our money is concerned? So he's broken that down into 7 elements, and we'll be getting into that with Jerome right about now. Jerome, hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Helen. Good morning to all your listeners as well.
Fantastic, and a happy new year to you.
Many happy returns.
How was the new year started? I'm hoping it's the money is already looking like it's about to quadruple.
I would say there's some cautious optimism, and that is as much as we can hope for now.
Amazing stuff. Now, as I mentioned, that article of yours piqued my interest, the very recent one, 7 things investors in Ghana need to look out for this year. And you break that down into the 7 different categories. And I was hoping you would get into that for us and go through each one so that we know what to look out for in the year 2024. Some of these themes we've been discussing all throughout 2023. So hopefully you can give us some insight into what those themes will look like in 2024. Kicking off with the second IMF disbursement. Interestingly, this morning, I believe it was on page 3. Yes, actually maybe page 9 of the Daily Guide. We're told that second tranche is on its way any day now, something along the lines of end of February. But that date has been pushed back quite a bit. What impact will a further delay have on the wider economy and on our personal pockets as well?
Well, let me give you some background for the benefit of your listeners. So
Sure.
we actually got approval from the IMF for their 3 billion essentially financial package back in May 2023, and that came with the first $600 million disbursement. We were supposed to receive another $600 million in November after the IMF had done their first review and it was successful.
That's right.
However, the IMF's condition is that the bilateral creditors that we owe about $6 billion need to reach an agreement with Ghana before those funds will be released. And so the countries we owe, there's a committee called Official Creditor Committee, which is co-chaired by France and China. And they had some difficulty in reaching an agreement. And that's why in November and in December, we've still not received the 600 million. However, yesterday, the official creditors met. We are yet to have feedback from the outcome of the meeting. If that they do reach an agreement, then the IMF board will sit and then approve that $600 million disbursement to us. It's crucial for the economy because we need that to help bolster the city, to ensure that we do not experience significant currency depreciation, which we know is important for our pockets, because if
That's
you
right.
plan for the year and let's say you want to buy something on Amazon, or you are simply looking to import for your business, you want to be sure that you have a stable city. And so this disbursement coming will be positive, because not only will the 600 million benefit us, but the World Bank will give us an additional amount of about $500 million, and it will keep investors' confidence up that the economy is on the road to recovery. So there's a lot hanging on this second disbursement coming.
Now, you also talk about the second payment of coupons on restructured domestic bonds. I thought this is something that we were going to be able to park in 2023, but it appears it'll have some impact still on affairs in 2024. Coupons are due in February of this year. What impact will we have if anything goes awry, if there are delays, etc.?
Well, this is crucial for confidence in the government as a creditor. What happened in 2023, the beginning of the year, was that the government essentially told the people who had bought government bonds that I cannot pay you with this timetable that I gave you when you came to buy the bonds. So what I want to do is I want to give you a new timetable and at lower interest rates. And it's supposedly voluntary, though we know that the people who chose to sit out experienced significant delays in coupon payments, and that's why we had our elderly folk pickets at the finance ministry, because their
right.
coupons were being delayed. Now, in August last year, the government paid the first tranche of coupon, or which are essentially interest payments on the new bonds. So after telling you I cannot pay with this old timetable, they paid the first tranche with a new timetable. Even though the government did that, we still do not see confidence in bonds, because when there's confidence, what happens is that people are buying and selling the bonds that we have. But that is not happening. People are essentially holding on to the bonds they have and they are not trading it. So if the government is able to pay this second tranche without any hedge, that gives confidence to investors that, oh, this amount I'm actually having in bonds is going to be honored by the government. So anybody will be confident in buying these bonds from me. And so we have about 2.4 billion that was paid in August. We are expecting another 2.4 billion cedis to be paid in February. And if that is done without a hedge, that gives a strong confidence boost to that. Ghanaians, your government is a credible creditor, so have no fears in buying government bonds.
Are there any indications that government will be unable to pay said bonds in February 2024, just next month?
No, we do not have any indications that they will not be able to pay. It's crucial that they do pay. I expect them to pay, but the fallout from if they are unable to pay would be catastrophic. So I expect the government to pay that. So investors should look out for that.
All right. And also the recovery of industry. And you say on City Talk, Ghana's industrial sector continued to struggle in 2023, posting negative year-on-year growth rates for the first 3 quarters of the year at an average of minus 2.9%. What impact is that going to have on the wider economy and then again on our personal pockets in 2024?
When you look at an economy like Ghana and many developing economies, if you are looking at what transforms the economy in the long term, it's industry. It is not services, because services usually mean low-paying jobs, things you cannot export as well for foreign exchange. So if we have lots of, say, restaurants, lots of shopping malls, lots of people selling shoes on the streets, yes, you can say they are employed, but at the end of the day, how much income are they getting in their pockets? And what level of development is that leading to the country? So things like industry, manufacturing, mining, oil and gas, construction, those are the kind of things that build infrastructure, build the capacity of the people, generate foreign exchange because you manufacture things and you export, and it creates sustainable jobs with income that people can actually live on. And unfortunately, since COVID-19 hits, Ghana's industrial sector has been on its knees. It's gradually shrunk as a proportion of the economy. And if you look at growth in the first 3 quarters of 2023, it had an average negative growth of 2.9%. That means that Ghana's industry sector is getting smaller by the year. It's not that it is stagnating. Rather, it is actually reducing. We have manufacturing declining by 3.4%. We have construction declining by an average of 8% over the first 3 quarters of 2023. So what this means is that the kind of infrastructure needed, the industrial capacity needed that would transform the country long term is actually being deteriorating. And so the effects on long-term growth are very worrying. So investors need to look for a turnaround of this sector, because if we do not have a turnaround, you can have all the growth in banking or growth in even telecommunications or retail that you want. But at the end of the day, if the country is unable to manufacture anything, then the prospects for long-term growth are very dire.
Now, you also touch on the Bank of Ghana financing the central government. I thought that was quite an interesting one to throw into the mix. It's something you say investors should be cautious of. Why is that?
Well, in 2022, the Bank of Ghana made a loss of about 60 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to about 60 years worth of the average profits they usually make. Meaning that if things should continue at the trend it was before they made this huge loss, it would take them 60 years just to claw back this loss they have made. And it was a result of they essentially saying that all this money we've given to the government will not be able to pay back. So we are going to write it off as a bad debt. They wrote off about 48 billion cedis as a bad debt, saying that the government will not be able to pay. But how did this debt come about? It came about because in 2021 and 2022, when the government's sources of finance dried up, it relied on the Bank of Ghana essentially lending its money, essentially printing money and giving to the government for the government to be able to meet its obligations. Now, the IMF is saying that first of all, you've breached Parliament. You've breached the Bank of Ghana Act, which prevents you from lending to government by this huge amount. And if you want our help, you are going to make sure that you do not lend the government a single cedi, because we believe it's this lending that contributed to inflation rising to about 50%. So now there's pressure on the central bank to ensure that it follows these new requirements from the IMF, which is you do not lend the government a single cedi. And that means that government has to borrow extensively on the treasury bill market.
That's right.
It has to make sure that tax receipts are coming in. And because there's no help anywhere, there's no Bank of Ghana to print money to make the shortfall. So investors need to look out for the Bank of Ghana actually following these new guidelines. If it does, that is positive because it shows that the government and the Bank of Ghana can be disciplined and they can control money printing and control inflation as a result. However, if they are unable to do this, and we know we have an election year coming, so the risk is not non-zero, then it means that investors should be worried about the long-term prospects of inflation in the country.
You mentioned election year, and we know that can be quite a fiscally unstable time. I'll relegate that to the last point as you've set it out in the blog as well. That's political stability. But before that, you also talk about the recovery of banking stocks. That's very technical for me, but in simple layman's terms, what does that mean for investors in 2024?
Well, the Ghana Stock Exchange in 2023, you realize that the whole stock market produced a positive return of 28%. However, if you take only the financial sector of the market, you realize that it lost 7%. And that's a result of the shares of so many banks losing by about double digits, declining by about double digits, which essentially means that if you had bought the share, say, in January 2023, at the end of December 2023, you would have had a loss. You would have lost money. Now, the reason why the banks struggled on the market was because they had a loss of about 6 billion Ghana cedis because of the debt restructuring, the domestic debt exchange program. What happened was that they had bought a lot of government bonds. Government comes back to say, hey, this amount I said I was going to pay you at this time, I can no longer do it. Here's a new timetable. Here's a new payment plan. And that means that if a bank had, say, about 100 million Ghana cedis worth of bonds, by accounting rules, they will have to revise it and plan. We are no longer going to get this 100 million, so we have to write 50 million there. And that resulted in huge losses across the banking sector. So investors should look out for a recovery, essentially. And that is tied into the government also honoring these new bonds it has issued. If it should do that without any question, then it's very likely that the bonds will recover, or the bank stocks will recover, because the risk to them was the government defaulting. If the government does not default, that risk reduces, and we should expect people who bought the shares to see a recovery in 2024.
Fantastic. And then you also talk about government's engagement with independent power producers, IPPs. I was also quite intrigued that made that onto the list, but for good reasons. Government owes a lot of money. Tell us more.
Yes. Well, the independent power producers produce about 60% of, they generate about 60% of Ghana's electricity, essentially. And these people are mostly thermal plants that run on oil, essentially, basically. And they buy these things in dollars. They supply to the government, they expect to be paid in dollars. And the government has had serious challenges in paying them. As of June last year, it was estimated the government owed them about $1.5 billion. And they are not happy. Government has tried to restructure the debt. They say no. They didn't buy bonds. They provided a service, and they expect to be paid in full for that service. In December last year, one of the power producers, Asokli Power Plant, announced that they had actually shut down, and government had to rush to promise them $60 million for them to come back on stream. If this power issue should continue, we should expect higher electricity tariffs, because the government cannot sit down to allow the independent power producers to shut down power and for us to return to a doom-so situation. That has political implications.
That's right. So
government is going to prioritize paying them. So even if things look like they're getting better, power utility tariffs cannot go down, because government needs to be able to pay these. And if it doesn't find the funds from elsewhere to pay them, then this will fall on businesses, on consumers, on other, essentially the everyday person, to shoulder a higher electricity tariff to be able to pay them.
And finally, you talk about political stability. The year is 2024, and the general elections are scheduled to take place in December, and specifically December 7th. How or why is that going to be significant for investors looking into 2024?
Well, in election years, investors, especially foreign investors, are usually very scared, or they are skeptical of prospects in developing economies, especially one like Ghana. Even though we've had several successful elections, we've had transfers of power, foreign investors, whenever it's getting to November, December of an election year, you realize that they tend to pull out a lot of their money. And that has an effect on the currency. So we, as a country, the Electoral Commission, the political parties, need to ensure and communicate clearly that we are going to have a free, fair, transparent election. If there's going to be a changeover of power, we need to ensure that this doesn't come with any struggle. We would love to avoid another election petition if it's possible. It's the state of the country is the one in which we just wouldn't want to have something like that. So the stakes are high. I would appeal to the Electoral Commission and all political parties to understand that they need to put the interests of the nation first. Ghanaians just want to be able to vote and have their votes count. We do not want any violence. We do not want any disturbances, essentially, because this, at the end of the day, has a huge effect on the economy and the pockets of the ordinary citizen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Jerome. I know you have to rush off. I still have Anita in studio, and she's been giving us some wonderful tips and tricks on how to structure life for 2024. But before you go, for maybe younger audiences listening to us this morning who are hoping to make the city stretch this year, what is some advice you can give or some possible guidance? Because things are quite turbulent still. You were on the timeline recently talking about financial freedom, and I thought, if only. If only. What can we be doing and thinking, maybe not even just the younger audiences, all of us in the year 2024 to make the city stretch further?
Well, it's very, very difficult to make the city stretch. It's been one of the toughest stretches. If you look at from late 2021 till now, it's prices have been rising astronomically. We haven't seen incomes rise in the same proportion. So what I would advise is that you prioritize, of course, you plan, but you also try to find new income streams. I know it's very difficult to do. It is essentially succumbing to the system, but it is very difficult to make things happen with one income stream now. So I would advise young people, I would advise everybody, develop your skills, develop your talents, be on the lookout for opportunities. Ask. There's nothing wrong with asking your friends, your colleagues, your network, your church members. Hi, I am very good at public relations. Is there something you need? Just try to find ways to get extra income and then to support each other. As friends, one thing I've been doing more of is that I invite people over or friends. We gather somewhere, we bring food. We try to essentially have fun without breaking the bank, and those are some things you can manage this current cost of living crisis.
That's a fantastic idea. I think the boys call it sitting. Just one quiet sitting on a Sunday somewhere. Nothing elaborate. There are new restaurants springing up every day. Anita will tell you, you don't need to go to all of them. Maybe pick the last weekend of every month, if you will. Or as Jerome is saying, congregate with your friends and loved ones. The gist is juicier. You can talk as loud as you want. You don't have to break the bank to have a good time. But Jerome, thank you so much again. I know you have to rush off. Very grateful. But we're talking money some more as the year goes on. So don't be a stranger.
All right. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it and looking forward to the next time.
Amazing stuff. Again, that was Jerome Kuse, chartered accountant and editor of citytalk.com, giving us some tips we need ahead of 2024 as far as investing in Ghana is concerned. And Anita Annan is still here with us, lifestyle coach. And as Jerome lovely or kindly wrapped it up for us, he says, essentially what you said to us this morning, you've got to stick within your means, find alternative ways of enjoying yourself, and supporting each other as well is going to be very key. What do you make of that support system? Where is the best place to look for a support system, especially at a time like this when we all need each other? Times are tough.
Interesting. Let me take this off. Yeah. It's an interesting question because these days you can't really tell who is going to support you genuinely and even freely. And so I would say that don't limit yourself as far as where you're seeking help is concerned. You can do family, you can do friends, you can do church, you can do people that you feel you can trust. Yes, don't limit yourself, because sometimes when you think that the support is going to come mainly from a family member, that's why you get disappointed when the help doesn't come in. So spread your wings and decide that, okay, you're moving on to people that you believe can help you. Yes.
Now, as we wrap up on this conversation, in terms of techniques, the right techniques to make sure that you are taking 2024 by storm. We've talked about, the goal setting, writing it down, building your confidence, like we've just said, getting the right support system as well. Just also as an individual, in terms of positive self-talk and setting these goals into action, actually bringing this to life, what would you recommend? Beyond the writing down, beyond seeking support, now you want to get things actually moving. Practically, what does that look like?
Utilize everything that you have.
Okay.
Yes, utilize your skills, your talents. There are some people, I remember there's a young lady that the salon that I visit, she braids hair very well. And another time I went there and she wasn't there anymore. And so I asked the hairdresser, the owner, and she said, oh, well, the girl says she finished the school of journalism and she wants to be a journalist, so she's going to search for a job. And I asked her, has she gotten a job? No, she hasn't gotten a job. So what's she doing now? She's at home. You see, there are times that you have to utilize everything that you have beyond, like you have mentioned. You want this, but at this moment of your time, the example that I'm giving, you can braid hair very nicely and people are coming to you, people are booking you and all of that. You haven't gotten the job that you want, but you can braid the hair and do it. Like, it comes to hair so easily. And that is something that you're getting money out of. It can pay your bills. It can carry you along. So why don't you do that? So people should learn to utilize their skills, their talent, all the opportunities around them, and then move. Yes.
Use all the opportunities, utilize all your skill set. I think Jerome also touched on that. He says maybe at church you can announce that, oh, I also do XYZ. We have a community around us, so make sure that you utilize it. He's given me a great idea. I'm going to post my other talents on my social today, and then rope in some of my friends who have bigger platforms and say, just share the link or retweet, whatever the case may be.
People just need to come out of their shell. You see, if you really want to make it in life, and everybody has different personalities.
That's right.
I keep telling people that the bigger side of me is actually introverted.
I see.
But can you just imagine an introvert being a life coach, a counselor? How do you go out and counsel people? You need to come out of your shell, and that doesn't mean that you're changing your personality. It just means that you're being the best version of yourself. If you don't come out and talk to people about your needs, if you don't come out and let people know your skills, your talents, and everything that's inside of you, how do you thrive? You see, so 2024 would be good if you come out of your shell and then be you, but let people also appreciate what you have. Appreciate, even in regard to appreciating what you have, there are times that when you're asking for help, people would want to know what you're doing, what's inside of you. You see, you go ask for help, I need this amount of money to do this, and people would want to know this thing that you're doing or this person that you have become, can it sustain the help that they're giving you? So you really need to come out and be that best version of yourself, utilizing all of it, but you have to come out.
Fantastic. Now, even for yourself this year, Anita, what are your own personal goals and goals for the business?
Well, yeah, fantastic. Thank you. The Antanan Center, we are saying that this year we really need to bring people on board in regard to your mental health and your emotional health, but you're starting with confidence. In fact, confidence building is one of our signature coaching programs,
right?
Because we realize that that's like the scratch. If you're not confident, you're not going anywhere. And I like to say this, confidence is the rudiment of success.
Confidence is the rudiment of success.
Yes. So it builds you up. It gives you that peace of mind. You know that you can do this, you can try this, you can thrive. And then it also pushes you to go out there, to be that person that you want to be. So as an outfit, we're looking out to building people's confidence, as many people as possible. So people should visit the Anitanan Center. We're on the Spintex Road.
On the Spintex Road. And I'm hoping you're also on the socials. We can check you out.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're on Instagram, the Anitanan Center. We've started our page.
Spell that for me, please.
The Anitanan Center.
Yes.
There. Anita. Annan
Center. All one word.
All one word.
Anita Annan Center.
And the center is R-E, not E-R.
Okay, R-E. Okay.
Yes.
I found you on Instagram. Quite easy to spot.
Yes. So
I'm already seeing lots of tips and tricks on here. Okay.
Thank you. So we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn. We have just recently joined Thread.
Okay.
We're getting around it. Yes, we're also on Telegram. And then we have started Facebook as well.
Fantastic stuff.
And our number is 055 9366 239. 055 9366 239. That's our hotline.
Fantastic. And we all want to be confident in the year 2024. I think this is a good foundation to lay as we forge ahead into the year. Anita, as always, a pleasure to have you here with us. And you as well. Don't be a stranger this year. We need all the confidence building that we can get. But thank you so much for your time. And thank you so much for this knowledge sharing expedition we've been on this morning. Hopefully we're all feeling recharged and a bit more energized. It's easy to lose self-esteem even in the first month of the year, because we set such lofty goals, such big dreams. They're not achievable, attainable, because we're not going about it the right way. But all year long, we'll be ensuring that we connect you with the right people to give you the right information. Anita is certainly one of said people. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.